All right, let's call this March 2nd, 2026 Essex County Board of Supervisors Budget Work Session to order. April, you do a roll call, please?
Chairman Akers.
Present.
Vice Chairman Gill.
Present.
Supervisor Hale.
Present.
Supervisor Henry.
Present.
Supervisor McGruder.
Here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Perfect. All right, first we have, that's a work session, right? I don't need to approve the agenda. So first up, we have our audit update. So Nita?
Chairman, members of the board, good evening.
Evening.
Have good news to start the meeting. We are on track to receive our audit by mid-March. I was on a call with the auditors last week, and they are just wrapping up the last few questions that they have. The questions we've been receiving have slowed greatly, so I think they're wrapping up their reports.
Good.
Good to hear.
Yeah, so you said by the end of the month we'll have it, so we can expect.
Definitely by end of month. We should have it mid-month. They said probably around the 15th.
So hopefully we'll get it in a little bit of time to review it prior to our April meeting to be able to.
Yes, that is the goal.
There was just one agency that they were waiting on the airport.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
So I left you all a little sheet that
Yep.
has a lot of green on it that shows we are almost done.
I don't know if you guys saw this sheet. This is kind of the, yep. Perfect. Any questions for Nita? Just keep plugging away.
All right.
Thank you. All right, we'll move right into our constitutional officers. So who do we have first? So Treasurer Penny.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess you have your packet in front of you that,
Well, Chuck, would you mind opening that up on the screen? Because I thought I was going to get a chance to go home and grab my laptop, but I did not, so.
so the first page here is the local office budget. And of course, if you notice at the bottom, for professional services, printing and bonding, all of that's level funding. The only adjustments would be to the salary line, and that was adjusted to the current salary plus 2%, hopefully, maybe.
And that's for a plan for the comp board if what they're proposing right now, correct?
No, this is the county.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to jump to the
Okay.
comp board next. So if you don't have any questions about that one, then we'll jump over to the comp board.
Yep.
All right, so the next sheet is a printout that shows my positions for the office. And of course, I whited out social security numbers
Yep.
and names. And it shows the approved salary, shows the local salary, and then the very last line over, it shows the reimbursable salary amount. The next sheet is a summary. It shows what their May 1st approved compensation budget was, and that was $157,216. The reimbursable amount is $117,171 for salaries, and then for fringe benefits, it's $11,787. So a grand total of $157,216 is reimbursed back to the county. And then at the bottom, I did put local salary, $204.44. So of that amount, we get the $157 back. The next sheet just shows, they asked for any part-time people, and I've listed my part-time clerk there. And that's based on 24 hours a week. And of course, she is not covered at all by the comp board.
Has it ever been covered by the comp board?
I'm sorry?
Has it ever been covered by the comp board?
Up until recently, there were only two positions covered. That was mine and my chief deputy, and my deputy 2 has just been recently added. So we're getting a little bit more for her. The next page shows where I have requested a new for one position. When we went for officer training, they told us from the get-go, you probably won't get it, but ask. It
Doesn't
doesn't
hurt to
hurt.
ask.
So I usually ask for one each time. The next page was temporary funding. I didn't have any. The next page, you can ask for office expenses, and I've asked for $27,000. We never get it, but we ask. And that's for any association dues, office supplies, and I put in there what it costs for us to mail our bills. And then the next page is equipment request. There again, they told us you can ask for it, you probably won't get it. So I do that each time. There's 4 of us, so I ask for 4 desktops. Then the next section, we have a workload study that we have to do, and it's based on our annual figures. And if you go through, you'll just see what the figures, say the first thing, land parcels maintained by mortgage codes. In 23, it was 1,955, 24, it was 1,986, and now we're up to 2,034. So if you go through all of that, these figures are weighted, and by that weighted figure, they actually tell you what you need for your office. And if you look at the sheet, record workload information, FTE totals, it's saying there that it's a need of 37.82%. And let's see what else. That was pretty much it for them. Of course, we can't ask what we want for salaries. That's set by the comp board.
Right.
The Treasurers Association has been working to draw attention to the General Assembly that the treasurer and the commissioner of revenue are the lowest paid of all the constitutional officers. So an entry level for my office is $28,360. You can't hire anybody and maintain anybody for that, and I do appreciate the board covering the difference, because I wouldn't be able to keep nobody. And just for an example, entry level for circuit court, they've got it listed at $41,622, so that's a big difference. So they're working hard to get amendments brought forth to try and raise that. Therefore, that would mean a little bit more compensation to the county. And I think that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Yeah, I mean, this is helpful. We haven't typically in the past seen the coin information in the database and how that goes in and what you ask for. And I think for anything, it's just good informational, pieces for the board so we can understand the process that you have to go through. So I don't have any questions. Board members, do you have any questions for Penny? John?
I'll let Ronnie go first.
I was just going to comment that I know you've been doing this for several years now, so you've got a good handle on what you can ask for, and yeah, trying to get as much out of the comp board as we can get, obviously.
Yeah, I agree, they need to
Yeah,
give us more.
so I don't really have any questions.
Penny, when I look at all the stuff on the coin request form and see all those things, the treasurer's office does more than just collect revenue. That's what I'm seeing there. Not only do you collect revenue for the county, but you also collect revenue from who else? What other departments? I know it's more than just the county.
It's countywide, it's Department of Social Services, it's all of the school, Parks and Rec, it's for EMS collection.
Okay. And then you handle all the expenditures as well,
Well,
keeping track of
They
all
come
that.
through our office, usually in a check form from other departments. And of course, when we sign off on those checks, we're just saying that we're guaranteeing that money's there. And then, of course, we reconcile those expenditures with our bank statement monthly,
And that's constant,
constant.
year-round. Okay? I'm building a case here for
Yeah.
why the
we
comp
have,
board
like-
is not paying enough money, if you don't get my drift at the moment. But
Yeah, we have 10 accounts that we balance each month.
10 accounts. And then the state also expects you to handle, because I know as a business person, I have to make a payment to taxes that go through your office as well, right? So
Yeah.
you're handling some of their work.
State income and estimated tax payments. If you file your taxes, you go to the commissioner's office, if you're not filing online.
Right.
If you've got your paper document, you need to bring that to the commissioner's office. They create an account, and then that check that is attached to that form then comes to my office. And we apply it to that account that they've posted, that zeroes out the account with us, but then the very next day, I mean, it's next business day, we have to send the money to the state. So
Oh,
it's
of course,
just
they
a-
want their money right away.
It's just a
Sorry.
pass-through, it's a pass-through.
I
Well,
understand.
I didn't even realize that until somebody tried to use my social security number, however, to file taxes on my behalf,
Did
which
mine.
wasn't me.
Did mine too.
Well, then they locked me out, so I had to file by paper. I can't tell you when the last time I filed a paper tax return. So I fill it all out, and it says, well, you're gonna need to take it down to your local Fisher Revenues office. I was like, what? I had no idea that's the process it took, so.
And then you're also collecting, the short-term rental tax. You're also collecting
The commissioner's office is, they create the short-term
Right,
rental, short-term rental, transient occupancy, and business license.
business license,
We
right.
collect all three of those, where other departments will create the invoices,
Right,
but the payment,
but the money
ends
still
up in
flows
my
through
office.
that you've got to keep track of. And that includes the building permits as well.
yes.
Okay. So additional, and I'm just amazed at all the things that you do. And then, assuming that everything is correct and it's perfect, that nobody missed a payment, nobody didn't pay their taxes, which happens quite often?
Yeah, it's never perfect. We have return checks that we have to take care of,
Right.
send out notices. And we used to give them time before we reversed it off the account, but we reverse it right away now.
Okay.
When they come in, there's a note on the system that we've had a return check, and we have to collect a return check fee. In the same way with online payments. There are payments returned. If I went on tonight to make my payment, it may accept it, but when it finally goes through the processing, there may be a digit off in the account number.
Okay.
So it's gonna be returned to
Kickback,
us
and
saying
you
that they
guys
can't
gotta
process it.
And you guys got to figure
So
that
then
out.
we have to go in and reverse that payment out and correct that, contact them, usually by letter.
But if people wait till the last minute to pay, they can still pay with, because I understand some counties gotten away from their credit card payment. We still accept a credit card payment as a service?
Over the phone?
Over the phone.
That's a hard one, because, you know, our last week, we're usually pretty busy, and, you know, you've got somebody waiting until December the 5th that wants to call and make their payment, and they're calling, and they're calling, and they're calling, and we can't answer the phones always. So I try to put a message on there to leave a message, and we'll call you back. So usually in the evenings, we'll call them back and get their card information and process the payments.
Because I understand from the IT department that you got 2,500 phone calls in 6 months?
I did, yeah, Alex ran that report for me, and that's for incoming calls onto our direct line. That isn't any internal calls from other offices here.
And then you also process sales tax, which then has to,
Yeah, that comes in through an electronic fund transfer notice, which is sent to us by email, and we enter it into our sales tax line, and then we have to sit and calculate what portion of that is owed to the town.
okay.
And there's a formula that's created by Weldon Cooper Center based on school-aged children. And that changes annually.
It does change annually. Okay, I was going to ask that. Okay. Well, I could go on and on and on with other information, but the bottom line is that it doesn't sound like the comp board really covers all the expenses that you guys endure or time that you take to do things and all that.
No, there's a lot of things that they,
So what can we do? And really, it just really bothers me a lot that, that you can put in for office expenses or equipment and you never get it. I mean, I don't understand that.
I don't either. I think other offices do, like Arnie and I were just talking, you get some. Christina gets some because we get some of her money. When they reimburse her, it comes in through an electronic funds notice. But treasurers and the commissioners. don't get
Commissioners
anything, right?
don't.
We don't.
Maybe we need to look into that to figure out how they figure who gets what and how gets what to understand the system.
And that's the same as the salary. There's this formula that for my salary,
Right.
They reimburse 50% of the 1980 salary plus 100% increases over
And we're in 2026, right?
Right,
Okay, I just
right.
want to make sure that I wasn't in the wrong century here. Now,
Right.
we're not talking decades now, we're talking century here.
Right.
We're in a
And
different
then-
century, okay.
Then whatever they set for, like that 28,000, that's an entry level. Well, if I hired someone, they're only gonna pay 50% of that.
Okay.
They're only gonna reimburse 50% of our clerks. But I read somewhere it's something to do with the regrading. They've regraded the sheriff's office and the circuit court clerk but have not done the treasurers and commissioners.
Commemoration.
So hopefully our Treasurers Association, they're working hard. Hopefully they can get the General Assembly to,
And other counties have these same problems, I would assume. Okay,
all commissioner and treasurers.
okay.
Those expectations on what you have here, that would not change with the approval of the state budget, would it? Like the amounts that you have, that the comp board will reimburse, will that?
Yeah,
will that-
we have no control
But
of that.
is that amount set now, or do you really won't know the
We
exact?
won't know,
Until the state budget's approved?
yeah.
Well, Penny, on behalf of the board, I think I can speak for the board, thank you for all the stuff that you guys do. And I'm sorry that the comp board is not appreciative as much as we are to what you guys do and accomplish in a day, week, month, and a year. So, but I think as a board, we need to look into this and talk to our delegate Keith Hodges and make him much more aware of this issue, because this is a tragedy or
Yeah.
travesty.
He should be aware.
I
the
think he needs to be
president-
more aware.
Yeah, the president of our Treasurers Association sent me a letter where she has contacted him and
Okay.
Mr. Stewart.
Okay.
So they should be aware by now. And
Penny, what happens with, in this whole coin system, these worksheets that you're filling out, does it include any information of work that we do, like on behalf of the town? So you can't even put in those numbers, so there could be additional revenue that you're responsible for that you can't upload into this because it's not directly with Essex County, is that correct?
So are you meaning like the real estate taxes for the town of Tappahannock? Well, see, they collect their own and we
Right.
collect ours. And of course, the town bills would be included.
It's not, probably not as much as you as it would be Kristen,
Kristen.
though, as far as, I mean, Kristen, they give you you get any bonuses from the work that, and that's where I think the breakdown is. There's a lot more that we do because we're doing it on behalf of the town that we're not getting reimbursed for. If there was a way that we could start tracking some of that, it may increase those amounts that the comp board would give. So I was just curious about that. I don't have any other questions unless any other board members do.
Is there
Good.
any way to set up an online payment system where people could just go in and pay it? And through credit card or automatic clearinghouse or?
Yeah, you can go in and make your payment online and you can do it right on the spot. There is a place where you can go in and register, and right now you can only tie your real estate to it, personal property cannot. There's a lot of stuff we can't do with personal property because it's confidential information. So you can set up your credit card with your real estate bill and that will happen automatically.
Thank you, Betty, appreciate
Okay?
it.
Thank you, Penny.
all.
Chris, are you up next?
Good evening, Board.
You
Mine
go.
is not gonna be much different than Penny's. My line items here for my budget has stayed the same. We seem to do pretty good with what we, are given each year, so we'll just stick to that. My salaries and wages did change a little bit. I did go from, 3 full-time positions to 2, well, 3 including myself, but 2 and then 2 part-time. My last full-time person did leave in the fall last year, and I just kept racking my brain with my 2 full ones I have plus myself. I didn't see where we needed another full-time, so I got Maggie back. So she is back on, so 2 part-time and 3 full, including myself. So just a little bit of change there, and then a little bit of a 2% increase for my full-time people, because they are taking on more tasks now that there's not another full-time person, but they know what they're doing and they're good, so.
Kristen, on part-time, how many hours is that?
They are averaging 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they turn in 40 hours a pay period. Yeah. One of them does 3 days 1 week, and then we'll switch it. So it's 5 days per pay period each one has, yeah.
Board members, any other questions for Kristen?
Same thing, Kristen, I know you all do a lot of extra stuff that's probably not covered under what the comp board covers, I'm sure of that, but, you wanna just give us a couple highlights of stuff? I know one of the things, for example, is, you know, you do notary work there as
Yes,
well.
we have
so-
2 notaries in our office, and we get a lot of people coming in for notary services that they just hear off the street. I know the clerk's office sends quite a many people over there, to us. Yeah, we're averaging about 7 people coming in for notary services a week. So we definitely help out with that at no charge. Some people charge, but we do not charge for any of that. Another thing I would like to add, it was off of what you were talking about with Penny. Our office actually does, for state income, we actually process what we call accelerated refunds. When somebody comes in with their 760 form, computer-generated form, we screen them, which is quite lengthy task for each one, but we screen them and we can go onto the ERMS database and we can actually plug in what they should be getting for their refund, and they should be getting it in less than 2 weeks. I mean, there's a lot that they have to go through to be able to qualify for that, but everyone that comes in with a refund on their computer-generated form, we screen them, and then we enter in their accelerated refund information.
I saw in the paper, 2 weeks ago or back a little bit further, that things about high mileage and tax
Yes.
relief programs, and that's
Yes.
all run through your
All
office,
run through
isn't
us.
it?
We have, unfortunately, we have a handful of elderly people that cannot read or write. So Maggie takes the time with them and sits down in our back room and helps them fill out the information, every single one of them. High mileage, that can be kind of difficult to some people. They don't know what to bring. Yeah, disabled veterans is another program that we had up there. And a lot of them are unable to physically do what we need for them to do. So we're always there to help every single one of them. There's many applications that we fill out for everybody there.
So the point is that there are a lot of benefits that we do provide those.
Yeah.
Then you guys handle that
Yep.
stuff.
We
Okay.
do.
And then I know, how much cooperation do you work with DMV? Because I know you all are in charge of vehicles,
Yep.
and I'm sure if somebody
Yes.
buys a vehicle, you know,
Yep.
January the 5th, you know, that changes things for you, I know, but you probably get a lot of requests for that as well.
There is an average of 600 line items that we get every single month of.
A month?
A month. And Kelly goes through every single one every month, and it takes her about a week and a half to go through. And that is figuring out, are they town counts or are they county accounts? Are they actually here? The vehicle needs to be here, taxed here. We'll work really hard with, we've had a rumor going around the past year and a half that people in the northern counties will try to get out of paying the admissions tax. And I think you have to, I think it has to do with when you get an inspection, there's an extra admissions tax. So they will try to get out of paying that and move it to a county that does not require an admissions count, and Essex County is one of them. So they're going in and putting their garage jurisdiction as Essex, and they don't live here. So we get phone calls, I've never lived in Essex County. Well, your garage jurisdiction, Essex, I never changed it to Essex. But there's a way we can go into DMV and see when you changed it and where you changed it. So it starts to all come back to them when we give them that information. So we have to go through and determine, are you trying to avoid the admissions tax, or are you actually here? So every month, it's an average of 600 line items that Kelly has to go through every month and weed out the ones that are not here, categorize them as town, mark them as sold. Yeah,
That's a lot. That's a lot.
yeah, every month.
And I think some of your employees also have taken some tax courses. I know they can't prepare taxes
You
for
can't
people,
prepare 'em.
obviously, but I'm sure they get
Yep.
tons of questions. And this
And-
is just one of those things that really helps them service the community
Exactly.
again.
They know the right questions to ask our taxpayers on what documents they need. And then we go right online and print those documents. We actually help them with what they need. So those free classes at Intuitive Academy have really helped out, being able to ask the right questions to be able to find them what they need based on their taxes.
And then last thing, and this may be actually going through the treasurer's office, not Commissioner of Revenue, is the utility tax. Is that through you, or do you all handle that? You see it on your electric bill and your phone bill, those taxes there. That comes through your department.
Dominion, they have recently they used to send in paper checks, but we have it set up now
Okay,
where they can email us and say, we've sent you your utility tax.
Okay.
So we get it from Dominion and Rappahannock for like monthly.
okay. So that's through your office, not your.
I'm off.
Okay. All right, well, again, Kristen, same as I said for the Treasurer's Department, you guys do an awful lot. Hopefully Chris will, I'm not trying to influence the free press any way, shape, or form, but I am. And he's not even here to hear this, but, you know, I just wish the public knew how much our employees, the services they provide, the extra miles that they go to help the people here, and I know you take a lot of grief during tax time and everything else, and here you are trying to help, so, again, on behalf of the board, and I think I can speak for all the board, we do really appreciate you, so, thank
It
you.
means a lot. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any questions? Thanks, Kristen, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, next we have Circuit Court, but I know Christina had a conflict tonight. Her report is attached, so if we have other questions, we can send them to her unless the board has any discussion. Commonwealth Attorney, Mike, do you have anything to add before we deny it? Sorry, I mean, before we review it?
So not much to add. I know John's going to ask stuff that we do in addition. I wasn't briefed on a lot of stuff because the way Vince and I transitioned, but I learned something new every day. I learned, we're responsible for collecting unpaid court costs, court fees, assessments like that, which we have to do every year. Today I learned we get to show cause people who don't turn in their marriage license on time. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it is. So there's new stuff. The big one that you'll probably notice in my budget, and I included the funding statute from the General Assembly, is review of body cam. That is a huge labor-intensive task that my office has to do. And really what that comes down to is Heather and I, which I'm very lucky she came on board. If y'all haven't had a chance to meet her, she's amazing. We have to sit and watch body cam constantly because we're not just looking for how does it help us prosecute cases or do a good job. And Arnie, I'm not throwing shade on law enforcement, but we're also looking for Fourth Amendment violations, Fifth Amendment violations, things that, people are saying, and we have to make sure if there's 6 officers on that call, we have to watch all their body cam because things might get caught from different angles. Microphones might not pick it up from one officer to the next. So we have to sit there and go through a lot of body cam. It's very labor intensive. I know Chuck gets on us about how much room we take up on servers for body cam. But it's been great having that. Arnie's given us access to be able to look at it directly to try to save some of that. But the funding statute, if we implement body cam, the county or the locality, as they put it, has to fund one of those positions. And if you visited my office, there's just no room for a third person to do it. So Heather and I just split it up because it makes us better at our jobs. So it's our goal to just use that to fund us. But in addition to that, we get calls 24/7 from law enforcement on the scene. This is what's going on. What can we do? How do we need help? Or we need a search warrant to be able to go get this person. Can you get the judge on the phone? And that's 10 o'clock at night. It's Saturday, mornings, whenever, and we make ourselves available. I'm glad that we have a good relationship with Arnie, that his guys feel comfortable. But we try to run the tightest ship we can. Luckily, a lot of things have gone digital, so we can file those digitally. Christina and I work together on that. But that's kind of where we're at. Most of my salaries, if you look at the comp board positions from COIN, they're fully funded. 1 assistant Commonwealth attorney, 1 administrative assistant, and then myself. We do have a part-time position that's grant funded. That's 100% grant funded part-time. Ches does a lot of work above and beyond administrative assistant. She's more like a hybrid paralegal. Helps out, getting stuff together, getting the reports, things that a paralegal in a larger office would do. She helps out. And I appreciate you guys giving us the extra funding for her because, as Penny said, with what the comp board gives, it's hard to get someone into these positions, let alone keep them at what the comp board gives you. So every little bit that we can help to keep someone good is much appreciated. So, questions? Go ahead.
All right, I'll go first this time. On your body camera position, what are other counties doing to address that situation?
So other counties, the larger counties actually have assistant Commonwealth attorney positions that's all they do is watch the body cams. You're talking Henrico, Hanover, things like that, where they have hundreds of body cams versus, I think we have, maybe 30 or 40 total, if that. So they actually have those positions where they have an attorney that sits and watches body cam and then briefs the attorney. The attorney will watch what they need, who's actually prosecuting it, but
And those counties do get funded for those positions?
they have to. It's by statute. It's so for the first 75, it's one position, and then it's one position for every 75 after that. So when you talk Hanover and Henrico, you're talking probably at least 5 to 6
And
positions.
is there comp board
No.
paid, or that the county picks up?
That's
for
the
that,
county
if
has
they
to pick it
adopt
up per the
body-
statute. The locality, if they implement body cam, has to pay
Has to pay.
for that position.
All right. And
So-
what are other, like, local counties, like around here, Richmond County, King, Queen, what are they doing? with the
They're really
body cam?
not asking for it. I don't know
Okay.
why, because it's extra work. I
Right.
have talked to Middlesex. They are looking at having a funded position that's split between the two prosecutors there. For an office like ours, the smaller jurisdictions, it makes more sense to do that because we're trying the cases anyway. When you get into the larger jurisdictions, the Commonwealth Attorney is more of an administrative position. They don't get into the courtroom as much. I'm in there every day we've got court. That's just the way I like to do it. So
What about AI technology to be able to view these and summarize to speed up that process?
it's not going to do it.
Not
Because
gonna do
all it can do is give
Not
us
yet.
a kind of a transcript.
Right.
But when you start talking about Fourth Amendment violations, you get into Miranda, you get into excited utterances, you get into all kinds of things that AI isn't going to do the job that a human being can do. Luckily, with what I do, there's a lot of job security that AI can't take over the human brain.
I understand that, I'm just asking.
No, I appreciate the questions, but a lot of times it's also a judgment call.
Right,
Our policy is, especially when it comes to discovery, give more to the defendant than they may be entitled to under Virginia statute.
okay.
Like, take for instance, a general district court case. All we're required to do is give any statements that we have from the defendant. So that's written, recorded, so if it's on body cam, we have to give them that portion of the body cam. My office gives a redacted version of the report, so we take out the victims' names and identifying information, but we give them the narrative. Here's our cards. We have nothing to hide. We also have an open file policy where they can come in and view the files. They can come in and do a lot of things. I'd rather put everything on the table, here's what it is, than have someone say that we're trying to hide anything. So we give a lot of access, which is also a lot of extra work that the Commonwealth of Virginia doesn't take into account when they give us these comp board positions, especially when it comes to discovery.
I'm beginning to feel a big trend here, and what the comp board doesn't know, or they just ignore. I think they ignore, and they know, so.
They know. Luckily, Senator Stewart was a huge proponent, not just of Essex, but of the Northern Neck, and got us all an extra assistant, because for some jurisdictions, they were saying, oh, you only do enough work to have a Commonwealth's attorney, not an
Right.
assistant Commonwealth's attorney. Not taking into account, like I said, fee collection, the stuff with marriage license, all the little things that we do. So he went and got all of us an extra position, which is huge, because ours is based on the number of felony cases that are actually going to court. And if for some reason we have to dismiss a case at the general district level for lack of evidence, or say there was a Fourth Amendment violation and we just don't have that, that doesn't count into everything we do. And if any of y'all have sat through a traffic docket, especially on certain officers' days, it could take all day.
It is, yeah.
It's very labor intensive.
It's kind of funny, the fact that we're being, given more money and funds to have felonies when we really don't want them, right? And if the community's doing well, we get penalized for that. Doesn't make sense, but that's their system, right?
Exactly. And what a lot of our sister jurisdictions don't have is Essex is the pass-through. So
Right.
everybody from Northern Virginia, Maryland, when they're going to the beach, they're coming down 301, 17, and I was shocked at the number of high rates of speed we have. I have at least 190-plus traffic ticket on my docket every Thursday, sometimes triple digits, and It blows my mind how people drive on these roads. So I've really started cracking down on that. I'll tell you, one of the policies I instituted was anything over 90, I'm starting to ask for jail time, because people do not realize how fast that is when you're going down 17. And we had a lot, when I first came in, just a rash of vehicular fatalities, and I would say most of them were attributed to speed. So,
Well, thank you, Mike, appreciate you.
I've got one question. The body cam review, does that have to be reviewed by an attorney?
yes,
No way around that.
no. Because, again, you're looking for violations of Miranda rights, you're looking for violations of search and seizure, unlawful entry into a home, that an attorney needs to be trained. And a lot of times, it's really close. You know,
Okay,
so it has to be an attorney position.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Now, in this case, I mean, when you talk about the number of felonies that you put into coin and all that, that would take into account those that are, you know, either fined or found by the town and the county. It's a combination, correct?
Correct, when it comes to felonies. Now, I will tell you, the body cam, and this is where I've had discussions with April, with Rob, and, yeah. Most of
I
the
was
body
leaning
cam.
into it.
Yep, no, you're good, and I'm glad you led into that. Most of the body cam that I watch is town-related.
That's right.
So,
What kind of funding do you receive from the town for that body cam review, Mike?
zero.
W0, thank you.
The town contributes nothing to my office, and I'm very upset about that. And I've actually reached out to the town. But I'll tell you, Arnie's guys do a great job, but they've got much more territory to cover. So when I'm watching their body cam, for the majority, it's crimes, domestic violence, things of that nature. You know, they get the DUIs and everything is now and then, but the town, that's pretty much all they do. So I've got to sit there and watch hours of body cam per DUI, because with the average DUI, it's about a 2.5, 3 hour process. So they get pulled over, I've got to watch FSTs, I've got to watch everything that happens. Then if another officer responds, I got to watch all that body cam. Then once they get arrested on a DUI, they go to the station, I've got to watch where they're read implied consent, where they actually do the observation period for the breathalyzer. I've got to watch the trip from the sheriff's department to Saluda, because if they make any statements while they're in the car, I've got to turn that over. It's an entire process to watch all that. And like I said, if you have multiple officers, you're watching it from multiple angles to make sure that nothing is violated, because I take it very seriously that I want to make sure that they're doing a great job, but that the citizens' rights are protected. That's sacred. I'm one of those nerds that grew up thinking the Constitution is one of the greatest documents ever written, and it needs to be protected. Exactly. I say all the time that the Founding Fathers were so smart they knew they didn't know it all, and they put stuff in there to be interpreted, and that's where I come in. But, you know, my goal is to watch all that body cam, and if there's a violation, as much as I would hate to have to let someone who is otherwise guilty go, that Constitution trumps it. So I got to watch that to make sure that everybody's rights are being protected. But yeah, the town kicks in nothing. And I'm trying to address that with them, and it's a lot more work. If you want a number, it's about a 70-30 split, town versus county body cam.
Is body cam,
That service.
is body cam footage, is that discoverable?
Yes,
Okay, I mean, so the prosecution can, or the defendant can use that as well as you?
correct. I can choose to present it, or they can choose to put it on if they feel that it exonerates their client, which means then I get to watch it a second time in court. But, you know, at the general district court, it's not discoverable. But we do make it available to them. In circuit court, it's definitely discoverable, because there's a whole lot more that goes into
Makes
circuit
sense.
court. But yeah, attorneys have access to it. The only thing that we don't turn over is if it is like a task force drug buy with a confidential informant, they have to come to my office and watch it, because we just don't want to expose who our confidential informants are. But if it's just a traffic stop, we turn all that over. One thing I've started doing is telling the attorneys, bring me flash drives to the office, and we'll just load it on flash drives and give it to them. So trying to make that process even easier. So, anything else?
Gentlemen, anything else? Appreciate it, Mike.
And y'all are always welcome to come watch in court and see how fun it is.
Yeah, but we have to be an attorney to do that. though.
All right, Barney, you're up.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman. Okay, before I get started into the budget part, I put a package on everybody's desk prior to the meeting. These numbers here is what the sheriff office have received from July 1, 2025 to the present. We haven't finished the year yet. I didn't give you a total, but I just wanted to let you see what was going on in the county. And as Commonwealth Attorney said, it's probably 60-40 town.
I was gonna ask you that, does this include town?
Yes, that includes the town too. So I just wanted to show you what calls been coming into the sheriff office for the last 8 months. And you see they're not liked. So this is what's going on in our county. And then we go to the second page. Brian and I have been working on a grant for the body armor. And behind that, it's the quote that I got on the body armor was $37,080. So Brian is working on a grant for $25,000, and it's a matching grant. So I will be coming back if we get that grant to ask for the part of it. And then you have copies of the grants. We're applying for 2 grants. One is the burn grant for the body armor. The second one is just a local grant, no match to that one. It's like $1,500. So we can use that money to buy some stuff that we may need. That's not a matching grant. And then you have, should have a letter from my office attached to that also. Okay, so is there any questions on that part? Okay, I try to keep informed for the new members, board members. I try to do this quarterly, every 6 months, so you guys will know what's going on. And I wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay. I want to thank Penny for explaining corns and the comp board, so I don't need to really go over that. But I do like to thank the board for subsidizing my guys with the comp board. Don't subsidize, because one for you guys, I don't know if I had a staff or not for what the comp board do. You know, they don't produce. And I think that's all politics, okay? I really think it's politics. And we do put in, just like Penny and the other part, other county, we do put in for extra things, extra deputies and furniture and laptops, but we always get denied. But we do put that in also. So I just want to bring it to your attention. Now, if you look at my package, I try to stay at level funding as I could, but some things went up, and you'll see them in yellow, like printing materials. We do all our business with Joey down the street here, and I called him today, and we had a budget last year of $600. So I had an increase. I asked him today how much had supplies gone up from a year ago, and he said about 8%. So I only put in for like $400 increase in that line item. And then insurance for volunteers, I only had one volunteer. That went up $100, so I put in for $110 there to pay the insurance for the volunteers. Dues and travel fees, I went up $1,000 more because, you know, motels and stuff are going up. So I had to increase there. And the biggest one, which I'm concerned about the most, but I know later on in the future we'll have this figured out, is vehicle power and equipment supplies, gas and stuff like that. And I'm looking for gas to go up. I'm gonna try to squeeze by this year, but I don't know. I might have to transfer some money later on, because I'm adding right around $7,000 a month in vehicle maintenance and fuel. So.
There's a couple electric school buses that don't do that, so we can loan those to you.
You're right, got 2 out there, right? Got 2 sitting behind the school. I look at them every day I go out there. Okay, so I increased that we went from 89,848 to 95,000, which wasn't much, but I'm just scared. We just had a vehicle, and Jay and I talked about this, just on Friday. Our vehicles should be replaced at 100,000 miles. That was put in years ago. I have 3 right now. I got one with 135, one with 107, and one with 112. Can make them work, but after 100,000 miles, we got to start paying for stuff. So right now we have 100,000 mile warranty on them, bumper to bumper, which covers everything. So that's why in the vehicle fuel and maintenance part, I increased this a little bit because I just replaced one with 60,000 miles on it, had to put a brand new engine in it. And the engine was $28,000, but we didn't have to pay for it. It was on the warranty. So that's what I'm scared about, some things like that, but things happen. And I know I got such a good board, I can come to them and tell them that I'm having problems. But, and the last one is our academy. If you look in your package, I put a sheet back there. See if I can find it.
Is this the agency dues or is it a different one?
Yeah, it's, in the package I put on your desk. It should be a sheet with from the academy.
Next to the last page.
Yeah, next to the last page, for their project. Our dues will be going up. Right now, we at 22,925. For 2027 fiscal year, we're gonna be shipping up to 28,770 for our dues for the academy. And also, our jail, I think they're gonna stay level down the jail, right, Rob? I think jail, so we won't have to worry about that. But our dues for the academy will be going up. Right now, we have 42 officers that they account for training, and that's counting the court security, and that's counting dispatchers and deputies, and some of a part of the staff in the office. So we're going up a little bit, $6,000 some dollars.
Arnie, do you know, with the academy, did they come up with like a fixed increase per officer that goes through there? Was that what it
Yes.
is? I haven't done the math, so I'm just trying to, looks like we have 4 more officers, but you're paying, almost $6,000 more, so.
Yeah, they come up with, they have a rate for each officer, in which that's have rise to like I think it was 160 some a person, so.
$685 straight through
Yeah.
per officer.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and the last thing I have,
Arnie, I thought the town also participated in the academy.
they do town. I looked at that today, and I have a sheet on the town. The town only accounting for 12 officers, and theirs going up from 7,000 to only 9,000. So theirs is separate from us. Yeah. And the last thing I have is, you'll see an increase on our part-time, our court security. I think last year, and I think Ms. Bobby was thinking about the COVID years, she only put down 15 hours per week for the part-time court security. If you see the letter I put back, we are now starting to have court 4 days a week. And,
You can thank for that, is it still here? I see a guy.
yeah, and sometime the judge, and Mike come back, the judge has said sometime we'll have 2 courts going on at one time. I don't think I'm gonna have enough men. I had to pull some people off the road to help when we do that. And he also then added some Fridays in. So it could be a common point where my guys be working 5 days a week for court. So Ms. Bobby only put in 15 hours, but they average right at between 22 and 25 hours a week. So you'll see an increase in that. And I think she put in because the COVID stuff, the COVID years, we didn't have court that much, but they are averaging around about 22 to 25. Sometime, if they have to make a transport, it could be 1 or 2 deputies could have 30. I try not to let them go over 32, but they could have 30 to 35 hours. So you're gonna see an increase in that area in the salaries, part-time salaries and stuff. The good thing about it, Nita and I talked about, we are bringing money in from the schools. Because I went from $25 per hour to $50 per hour. So we are bringing money in. We talked about that the other day. So, but other than that, I appreciate what y'all do. I know y'all got a hard job trying to divide all this out, but, you know.
One of the things that's hard to see in a lot of these, this goes with all the departments, is we don't necessarily see the individual revenues that are coming in as a result of the work that the various departments do. I mean, it just doesn't show up that way. But certainly if there's more court, there's more fines, there's more things, there's gonna be more revenue coming in,
Right.
which should offset the cost of, additional people. We just don't, it's just not a clear picture to be able to see it, but
Yeah.
I know it's there.
Yeah, I used to get a copy every month. Penny, do you still get a copy of the revenue coming in from the court? Unfortunately, did they still send you a copy? Yeah, they used to send me one, but they stopped sending me one, but I knew Penny would get one. But it's coming in, and it's like John and I was talking before the meeting, people just don't know what we do. But, you know, I think, if they would come to meetings and know what we do, you guys wouldn't have a hard problem, because they won't worry about putting, where you spending this money at, and where you spending that money at. But unfortunately, we don't have that like that. But anyway, I still like to say thank you guys for what you do. Is any more questions?
Thank you, Art. Board members, any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for explaining the salary increases. That was gonna be my big question.
Yeah.
That's fine. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Ernie. All right, well, that concludes our presentations for our constitutional officers that are here. And so now we'll turn it over back to Nita to go over our capital budget.
And she has more good news, right?
I have lots of ways for you to spend all that money.
It's all relative, John, it's all relative.
So I passed out, prior to the meeting, our capital improvement plan worksheet. Would you like me to go through each of the lines, just if there's discussion on any of them?
I think it may be an overview of how you've kind of coordinated this, because I met with April and Nita here before the meeting, just to kind of go through some of these high-level things and about some of the color coding, and know that some of these are placeholders and then we'll shift, but this is just a good overall document of our capital improvement plan. So, yeah, just kind of go through an overview and let
Okay.
people ask questions
Sure.
as they will.
So the top section is the funding source. This is where we're estimating that the funds will probably be drawn from. And I've tried to color code in blue the things that would probably need debt service, with the exception of the broadband project, which I meant to take it out of blue. But we have that money, from my understanding, already escrowed. But the rest of it would be general fund, or the blue ones are such things as replacement of the animal shelter and the general district court and circuit court, the repairs that are needed to those for HVAC. And I think that is it. Maybe in the future, some of the dispatch consoles and things that are a few years out roll up to the debt service items. The rest of it would come from either rollover funds that would come from the use of fund balance, depending on what we have left at the end of this fiscal year. Those monies could also, again, roll forward to cover those costs as the capital plan provides. As we get down to what the departmental requests are, fleet management, that we estimate, a little over 100,000 each year, but, for this year, we're looking at a request to replace 2 sheriff's vehicles, 1, animal control, and a small truck for Parks and Rec. The uniforms for all of the departments, which are uniform required, EMS, sheriff's office, facilities, Those are all in one line, so it's not in their individual departmental budgets. The joint facilities building, obviously, we're working on that, where we just recently applied for a grant that we'll hopeful we'll get at least something from to go towards that. And again, no grant funds are covered in the proposed revenue for these. And then the admin discretionary spending. Any questions on the admin numbers?
I don't understand how 4 vehicles cost $280,000.
We had estimated for the sheriff's vehicles coming in around 80, I believe, and the ACO, and then Parks and Rec was around 35, and then we just have additional the rest of those funds in there for if something happens, breaks down, unexpected. And then, obviously, as we sell, if we do purchase these, we'll either sell the others or reassign, and that money will come back to offset that cost.
So the 80,000 for the 2 sheriff vehicles includes all the other adjustments they have to make to
Yes.
make it, okay.
Yes, that would be all their
So
outfitting,
we won't have to worry about that, that's good.
yes,
The 250,000 for the joint facilities building,
yes.
the 640 was what we had put aside, wasn't it, Rom?
That's correct. That's what we've approved, has been the 640. And then I think there's a thought that as additional monies may be needed for additional equipment, maybe it's training for somebody that we bring in. It's really just a placeholder. Nothing's been really allocated for that.
Okay, but we have the 640, we have been moving that year to year,
Right, so it's currently sitting in our current year right now.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, which is liable not to, because we're probably not gonna get I think Jay, they said fall for engineering drawings from Timken Group and all that, so it's likely that 640 is not gonna come out of this year. It's gonna have to roll over to next year, which would push everything back out a little bit. But at least it gives us an idea of where we're at with our debt service, and as we work with Davenport, so we have some numbers related to them to know what we can spend.
And the $2 million for the broadband project, that'll be the final payment? That's not gonna be carried into 2028 budget?
Correct.
Okay,
Hopefully, that's the only payment.
hopefully.
So the 640,000, unless you put it someplace else, should be from the school construction grant funds that you guys identified
Right.
to
Correct.
Right,
be earmarked. So that's being held in an escrow account.
right. So the 250 is additional?
Additional funding.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be cutting it close with the 640. We first came out with that number, it was probably, 5 or 6 years
It's been a
ago.
long time.
Right.
It's been some time, so, and I still think we're gonna be close. I know Jay's been working really hard to get us close to that 640 number. And I think we'll get it constructed and built. It may not have power, but it can be.
Well, as Nita said, Brian has worked on a grant
Yeah.
that we're pursuing with Claravon at PDC.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And then there may be additional setups with that, which we could work with the school or whoever on for, talking about putting the external gas tanks, a new gas tank, which is gonna be given to us, a new fuel tank that can be used out there. So there's some other things that may go along with that additional parking. We just wanted to give a little bit of a buffer there.
2 squirrels in a wheel, plenty of electricity. Buddy.
Some solar panels on it.
Animal shelter, we just have a placeholder of 750 in there, just because we have no idea what it's gonna take and where it's gonna go, and it's just a good number to start with.
Right.
Emergency services, we've got 450 in for the ambulance that has been ordered and will be delivered this year, or not this year, but in 27. So that payment will happen then. And then
That includes getting that, so it's ready to roll.
all the equipment and everything that's needed. Equipment replacement. This is, looking forward as we roll through inventory of 75,000 a year to replace the emergency radios that are needed for all the staff. And it just kind of, again, puts it at 75,000 a year. We've also added in 12,225 for FY '27 to replace the live scan equipment in the sheriff's office, which is all the fingerprint, what they've moved to for fingerprinting.
And this sheet I have, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong one, Rita. I might be looking at the old one.
I was gonna say the one that we talked about before I changed things.
Okay, never mind. Question answered.
And then we also have 86,021 in year over year for the next several years for, a stretcher, leasing agreement for all the ambulances. This would cover, it would take out having to have maintenance and replacements. It's just a rolling program that we can lease them, and then if something breaks, it gets repaired under that lease. When something needs to be, replaced because of age, it ages out, they replace it. It's just that one standard fee, so it can help us budget for that a little bit better than, figuring out what's due each year.
And how many stretchers is that for?
It is 4.
Okay.
And for the new board members, this was a lease agreement that was previously presented to the board, adopted, and so this is just the deployment of that agreement.
Next, we have school radios for all of the buses. That is 165. And that would be in the school capital. And then 95,000 and then 100,000 next year for continuing replacing of hoses and testing of all the fire department and EMS equipment on a normal schedule.
And that will help ensure our, does that help us with our ratings for the insurance thing that we just did, that whole?
That's one of the requirements that we built into the plan.
That includes all the station in Center Cross and the one in Chan?
Yes.
Okay.
Does the town participate in that, Kyle? I'm talking about the equipment maintenance funds there. Do they, I mean, because they also get the benefit of the insurance there as well, don't they? The town does.
Yes.
But there's no,
Couldn't tell you the budget side of what the town would buy.
okay.
Well, we should be able to find out on Wednesday's meeting on outside agency requests. That should be part of Joey's presentation.
Okay.
General properties, we've just budgeted 200,000 year over year for replacements, emergency repairs, anything for any of the county buildings that will need work. We have 50 and 61,000 for the constitutional offices. This is all the constitutional offices as they need renovations and replacements and repairs. It is not inclusive of the next line down, which is the 900,000 for the next 2 years, that again are just placeholders for replacing HVAC and other needs with the general district court and the circuit court. And then we've got 45,000 budgeted for repairs and maintenance to the library building, and 35,000 for the extension office and Parks and Rec renovations and repairs for that building as well.
For the HVAC systems at the constitutional offices, does that include service agreements and that kind of stuff, or is that just for the replacement? Replacement, so service contract. Right. So there may be some additional cost for service agreements, that kind of stuff as well. Okay, just, again, just. Or savings, right. I get that. And just for the new members and all, and correct me, April, if I'm wrong, the agreement for the library is that the building and maintenance of that building is the responsibility of the county, correct?
It is. It's
Okay.
part of the agreement,
The agreement that was
the
made.
lease agreement. Mhm.
Yeah, just for their general information.
Yes.
Okay.
Parks and Recreation has requested replacement of the pool cover. There was money in this year for some upgrades. I don't know that any of those have occurred, but they are definitely looking for 20,000 for a new pool cover this year. And then the next line down, the following year, possibly some improvements, maybe including an ATV or a shed or something out at the Rotary Park, Poorhouse Park, for the master plan.
So is that 20,000 for the, is that only for the pool cover? Because I know there's a lot of other stuff listed.
Yes, that 20,000
It's just-
specifically is for the pool cover.
Thank you.
For one?
One. It should, I am told that the one they have now has lasted many years, so. I have never owned a pool that big, so I have no idea what the covers go for.
But I think it was estimated, she didn't provide a quote.
She didn't provide a
So
quote. She had gotten
She gave a
some-
very high, just estimate.
I just wanna know what it made out of for $20,000.
Titanium.
And I thought, I don't know why I'm remembering, didn't we approve at one time for an ATV at the park?
No, it was requested, but it wasn't
Requested,
approved.
okay,
Right.
all right. It was requested, though, okay. And
Yes, it
requested
was
again, okay.
requested many times.
Okay, that's fine.
They ain't got nowhere to put it, so we can get it.
Yeah, well,
Gotta have shed.
Yeah, got somewhere to put it.
Well, I mean, we looked at the request, really the truck would have more versatility in use than the ATVs. So that was the choice to address that first.
The registrar has requested, but it will potentially be mandated, we just don't know the date, new voting equipment. So Angela explains that the state is in testing of this new equipment. Once the state approves the equipment, then it will become a mandate that all the localities use this equipment and purchase it. We're just not sure when exactly that will occur. So we've got this in for FY '27.
so again, for education for our new board members, state mandates and the county pays for, right? That's how that game's played, right? Yeah, just to-
Unfunded mandate.
Yeah, unfunded mandate, just to
Yes.
let you know. So we can't fuss at anybody but the state because they are mandating it and we suffer, so, classic.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then the last item is the body armor replacement. And Sheriff, there was a typo on the quote, where they did not add it up completely, but it comes in at 47,080. And like Sheriff mentioned, Brian has applied for a grant that hopefully we'll receive to help offset some of that cost as well.
And I assume any of the other items on this list where grants can be found will be found.
They absolutely will, and then we'll fill in the little line that says grants for the revenue.
Even better. Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Any questions, board members?
I'm good, thank you, good job.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
For me? Shoot. Jim and I,
Yeah, somewhere. We was talking about the combined, maintenance building, right?
yeah,
It says county and school, do include the town vehicles
the
included in that?
the town chose not to participate in the joint vehicle maintenance facility.
Okay.
So they have donated 2 acres to the school, which is a boundary line adjustment to give it more room, but at this time, they chose not to participate. They will likely want to participate in our fueling station once that's up and running. And I think eventually, they'll come around. When you get a state-of-the-art facility doing repairs, I can't imagine somebody would be, somewhere else, and it just doesn't make sense. So I think it's gonna all work out at some point, but yeah, right now, they've chosen not to do it. We asked many times. Any other information for the board? If none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, on Wednesday, that's our next meeting, correct? I would respectfully ask to attend virtually for that meeting. I'll be out of town in DC that night.
I have no problem with that, and we can probably get the board to confirm. Would we need to confirm that at our meeting, April?
No,
Can we do it
it's
now?
it's not a regular session where a vote
Oh, that's
would be
right.
taken.
So,
So
yeah,
as
that's
long
fine.
as we have a quorum in person, it won't be a
Okay,
problem.
all right,
Yeah.
well,
You'll be able to
I will
to
attend,
participate.
but I will be away.
We will keep it noted, make sure you're on the line.
Can you hear me?
can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you, we are now adjourned.
Hey, man.
Sounds like to me